Greetings and salutations, Focus Up family. Welcome to the November 2nd, 2024 installment of Middle Age Politics with Student X. This show is all politics, global and domestic. We thank you for tuning in with us live on YouTube and various other platforms and catching us on replay. And we ask that you click that like, that subscribe, that bell, and share to support and maintain your Focus Up fix. So I am Mr. Nice Guy. Nice as in the word Saint spelled backwards, but the star of this show is Brother Student X. The opinions may be controversial, and you will hear things that sound like praise of polarizing figures, but we are not endorsing anybody. Our politics are not party-based. We lean on policy here, and we stand on melanation. So without further ado, I pass this off to you, Brother Student X.
My brother. Well, today we are going to endorse somebody, and we will share that towards the end of the show, for sure. But and I always push back on the brother calling me the star. I get it, but the real star, are our guests that comes on, here on the show, as well as those that take time out their days and just, participate and listen to what, we have to share. So I thank you all. As we transition into the show, I just we're continuing to evolve the show, the name, develop the show. But essentially, what we are is a Comic-Con community times politics. So Comic-Con meaning like comic books, anime, cartoon, gaming, sci-fi, cosplay, pop culture. The whole 9 yards. We have that type of background. And we love that. And so just taking that type of mindset, into the politics, and using various pop culture references is something that we find fun to do. So what we are adding to the show are what we call ninja please moments. And this segment is going to go and deal with little known undisputed facts that the masses, of not only our people, but, really the world may not be familiar with. So we're going to talk about some of those things. But enough of that, brother, let's get into the news. We're a few days away from this election. It's been getting hot up in here, so we want to go ahead and just talk about, man, what we've seen in the news this past week. You ready?
Let's do it. And welcome to the show, Brother Youssef.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Our brother, how you doing? So, bro, I didn't even see you pop on, bro. Well, yeah, before we do that, then let's once again take the opportunity just to introduce, not only Brother Yusuf, but our brother Afro Agnostics. This is going to be a hot show with these two brothers on here. They the stars. Let me say that. They the stars of the show today. So our brother Yusuf, why don't you just take time to introduce yourself, and then we'll go to brother Afro.
Well, I'm just Brother Yusuf, man, plain and simple, man. No capital letters, no nothing, just me. That's it. I am that I am.
Ooh. Cool. Okay, Afro?
I don't know, brother sound very prophetic there. I am that I am. Well, I am Brother Afro Gnostics. Sorry, Afro Gnostics. Yep. Hailing from Detroit. I lived some time in Cali, been a part of different organizations, and father. That's about it.
And now he's in Georgia. Now he's in Georgia. So he's got power.
Free. What do you call it? Free nester or empty nester.
Word.
Yeah.
Word. All right. Well, brother, let's get into it. The first thing I wanted to just talk about is what's in the news. And, one of the things that I saw, that was, I thought was very, very significant. And we saw a lot of these things coming into the last election cycle where I didn't believe that Biden had a snowball chance as hell of winning, because whenever I would turn on social media, I saw, Trump's, various platforms and when he was on, and there being hundreds of thousands, at the bare minimum, tens of thousands of people tuned in trying to hear what this man had to say. It was a lot of excitement. He would hold rallies, and there were plenty of people that were showing up at the rallies where full airport hangars were being, completely, inundated with people. And so now we come into this cycle, and, Trump just, happened to pop up on the Joe Rogan show. And I personally watched all 3 hours. I don't know about you all, if you all did, but what got my attention was within the first 24 hours, Trump had 22 million views in the first 24 hours. And then in comparison, we'll talk about it later, but, VP Harris, to me, she was scared to go on Rogan, but she did Club Shay Shay, and she went on the Breakfast Club again, avoiding tough questions. But her 1 hour interview, she had to cut out. She didn't have that much time for you Negroes at all. But, in her hour interview, she generated in the first 24 hours 1.2 million views, on those platforms. But let me open it up to everyone. Did you all see, either of the interviews with VP Harris and Trump, and what you all had to say about it?
Well, let me first say that I did watch. I didn't watch all of the Joe Rogan interview. I did watch it. I saw the 22 million. I also know that Joe Rogan is the #1 podcaster in the world, so he generates on average 14 million. He's the Trump thing was big with 22 million. That was large. It wasn't the largest at all. Elon Musk interviews his podcast. His appearance on that show was like 30. So I'm just saying that, this dude is very popular.
Trump's at 43 million right now. And counting.
And Trump is very popular. And again, I think that a lot of people are not just watching it just because they supporting him. A lot of people just want to hear him. So you're going to get people across the aisle that's checking it out. And again, no doubt it's the biggest podcast in the world, period. So,
and one of the biggest purveyors of misinformation and conspiracy theories as well. I will add to that Alan Lichtman, who has predicted electoral politics, presidential elections since the 80s, has predicted Kamala. But I think your point, which I agree with, which is undisputable, he's more popular, amongst white people. And it kind of shows that this is a popularity contest when it really should be about content. People often vote personalities and not ideas.
Yusuf?
I don't know if you guys yes. I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. You might be breaking up there.
Yeah, it's still breaking up.
No, you're sounding good right now.
Clear now.
It says I got all my 5Gs and everything, so I don't know what's going on.
Oh, you sound good now. You sound good. Yeah, you sound good now. It might have just been a glitch. It might have been the man.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you saying that
I was waiting for the smile.
You asked for my opinion about Joe Rogan. I haven't watched it, so I really don't have an opinion on it. I just know there's a lot of views. That's about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Did anyone watch the club Shay Shay or the Breakfast Club interview with VP Harris?
I watched the Club Shay Shay. I'm not 100%. I don't know if I watched all of it. But I didn't know she was on the Breakfast Club. I know she did an interview with Charlamagne the Guy that I watched, but I didn't know about the Breakfast Club.
Got you. Well, the last thing I say is just on that Trump interview, the 3-hour one on Joe Rogan. I've the first time I ever saw a Joe Rogan show, he had a gentleman on there that was somewhere in Africa, and the gentleman was covering, I want to say like baboon hunting, by some tribe out there, and it was very vivid, and very accurate, if you will, about what this gentleman experience was with this tribe that was hunting baboons and whatnot. And it just caught me because it was like a subject I never would have thought about, hearing, and I was hearing this recollection from this particular gentleman, and it just blew my mind, just how, what he observed and what he watched, participating in this hunt and everything else. So the thing about Joe Rogan interviews is, I would say, is that he always does bring a perspective, to the table. I haven't saw enough of them to be able to say that, is all sorts of disinformation and whatnot that Brother Afro Nazis was charging, him with, but I have heard him, have various meaningful type of interviews and dialogue and exchanges on this show that I found provocative, and found very, informational, that had me go down the rabbit hole in some of these interviews. And this Trump interview was the same. He asked Trump some, really difficult questions, including, which I heard no one ever asked Trump about, was looking for the scar on his ear. You know what I mean? And just really kind of focus on that.
That's a difficult question.
Yeah. Rogan dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? He dealt with it. He wanted to see it. You know what I mean? The whole
That was not hardly a difficult interview. He even said that. He said, "Look, I'm not going to do that. I just want to have a discussion. I'm going to talk." He's like, if Kamala comes on, I'm not going to grill her or anything. I just want to talk. That's all he does. Joe Rogan is never a tough interview.
Never.
I say,
I sat here and watched Terrence Howard just spew off nonsense after nonsense, nonsensical, and he's like, "For real? Wow!" I mean, now this is a separate from him being an interviewer. He's 100% one of the best interviewers out there. He's I don't know how he has this way of connecting to. I mean, he's really good, but he lets anyone and anything on the show that would get clicks.
And let me just add that I saw that I posted on Facebook this one video. I'm mad that they took it down. You know what I'm saying? But he was talking with somebody talking about how, they could just, you see all these people in the world. If everybody just put $1 away, he like counted up the many people, not in the world, but in the United States, just $1, and you have all of this, whatever, and all this money, and you could, you could take care of healthcare and all this other stuff. And it's like they kind of did the math in their heads, and I mean, it was way off. And they made this whole argument. And I was just sitting there, wait, stop. You should have stopped right there when you realized that the only thing that if everybody puts in $1, the only thing that everybody can pull out would be $1. That's math. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that it was ridiculous, and they went in, and the comments were hilarious. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm just saying that they made this really moving discussion that was just completely not based in reality. You know what I'm saying? So again, I love Joe Rogan. I find his interviews, I find his podcast, I find the Trump thing. I mean, I thought that Trump was showing some good personality. There's a lot of times where Trump shows that he has very good personality. I don't like it when he kind of goes off script. Like, not when I say go off script, when he starts freestyling, when he just is just talking to you like a person. I think he's very charming and very, whatever, stuff like that. But once he starts pandering, I mean, this is a guy that was supposed to be non-politician. Then he goes ultra politician, and then it's like a throwback to McCarthyism. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, but hey, Joe Rogan, I just got tremendous, respect for him, especially when he's talking about stuff that he's very knowledgeable about when it comes to martial arts and stuff like that. So I rock with Joe Rogan, even though Looney took it on the show.
I watched a little bit of that. Was his Terrence Howard's interview, but that's about it. I don't draw a lot of my information from them. I'm too busy watching networks like TKN and W on and stuff like that. What's going on in the global community rather than this fake shit we have here in the United States. So I'm much caught up in what's going on and what's attacking the United States and the citizens globally and with inside of America. So this politics, as far as that goes, I'm looking to see who's going to prevent my children and grandchildren from going to war. That's what we don't want. I know many of you brothers on this panel don't even know that last night that Israeli got 3 of their warships sunken and one United States warship sunken by the Houthis. That just happened last night. And I listened to Minister Farrakhan in his lectures of old saying that this was going to happen, about 10 or 20 years ago when we will be witnessing some of the United States military and personnel be attacked in certain parts of these seas and these waters. And this is what's going on today. And he said, when we start seeing this, we know that the day is nigh. So it's not so much about personality, identity politics with me. It's going to be whoever is going to be able to sit down with these world leaders and negotiate a path of non-destruction. If I'm looking at the policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they feeding the war machine. And then when I listen to Donald Trump, some of us, he has some rhetoric, but I look at what he did within his 4 years of his tenure as a president of the United States. He had brought about peace. And we do not want to keep festering what's taking place because prophecy is going to become real. So we can laugh and do all this back and forth on these platforms, but the reality is America is under judgment. And if we don't see that as Black men being colonized mentally, some of us speak like we still colonized, don't even understand what's going on because we caught up in one program that they created, and that is two programs that they created, which is classism and racism. So we as Black folks look for the Black knight that's going to bring us out of the situation, and we don't understand the tricks that liberals play on us as peoples. We never had a foundational Black person running nothing. It's always these first generations immigrants that's beside and on the side of those who got us colonized. As I look at Kamala Harris platforms, she bring about all of these people that was caught up in the freak off. So when I'm looking and I'm studying timelines, like my brother, let me finish, my brother. As I study and look at these timelines, P. Diddy getting caught up with that girl when they opened up that lawsuit over in New York for 1 year to go after P. Diddy for past, violations. As soon as that happened, say, hey, we get one of them, they gonna hooray, hooray. Diddy got. Now we be able to go after Donald Trump, enemy. Then they did the same thing just recently with the situation we got today with Donald Trump. They got Diddy again, locked him up. Everybody's on this freak off is blackmail to support Kamala Harris. Because I say this because I watched Usher on The View saying that he's not into politics and people have a right to vote who they want to vote for. So he's not getting caught up in the middle of it. Joyce Behar tried to bait him in. He's not falling for it. No more than about 2 or 3 weeks after Diddy get caught up, now he's on the campaign trail for Kamala. And I'm not telling you it's Kamala Harris' fault and this is her method. What I'm saying is this: these people that are behind these leaders that we call leaders or presidents is pulling these kind of strings to manipulate Black America. It is your day. It is our day to be able to wake up from a deep sleep and see this whole matrix and be able to overpower and overcome it. If we don't, we will be consumed and we will be destroyed. As they go out, we will go out with them. So my advice is to pay attention to what's going on in the global community because it's bigger than America. Trump is bigger than America. I mean, not bigger than America. Trump is not bigger than America. Kamala is not bigger than America. When Brother Charles speaks about the deep state, that is real, no matter how you slice it. No matter how you slice it. They killed leaders all the way from, John Wayne Booth, all the way on up. They don't care. They want control. Now they know that God is in the house now. He's present because the truth is present. He wants us destroyed because the truth resides in our mouth. We are the...
Brother. Let's pass it back real quick, brother. And then there was a question that came in from Liberty Twitcher. The warships that were sunk when, where. I heard something about something. I didn't do any research on it, but you brought it up, so I was nodding my head saying, I want to know about that. So
you go on my page right now. It's in the off the coast of Israel, not the Black Sea. What do they call that?
The Strait of Hormuz. So I'll go check it out while someone respond to Brother Yusuf and what he had to say.
Go ahead, Brother Alpha.
So like it would be, he made a whole lot of points. It would be good to like maybe make one point at a time so we can kind of respond, because I can't even remember so many good points he
Fair
made,
point.
Yeah.
but I couldn't, but it's interesting though. I wonder what, because the United States was in war, the Northwest Territory War, before the United States was started. Like on the day that it was started, it was already the government, the state was already at war with the Native Americans. So from that time forward to the present, the United States has always been a war, always has had imperial aspirations. So my question is: the destruction of the United States, do you view that as a good thing, or do you view that as a bad thing?
Well, a good thing if we prepare, a bad thing if we're not.
Okay.
We as a people,
I got more questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got more. So, I mean, anybody else want to comment on that though?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so from what you were saying, it sounds like your theory of social change, how change is going to be brought about. Does it require supernatural intervention? Because you referenced God and some type of messenger, maybe raising the people up. So, do you believe that social change is dependent upon supernatural intervention?
Well, supernatural intervention is truth itself. That's just God. Supernatural, when we know truth destroys a lot of things. Truth hurts feelings. Truth is everything. Even your relationships, in partnerships, in politics. Truth is the ones that are going to set the course straight.
Okay.
And we keep relying on lies and deception, even about what you're saying, the Indian wars and things of that nature. That got a twist and a turn in it, because we lean on their narratives and their understanding. Those who wins the wars is the victors. They write the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we do is continue to regurgitate the stories without going and researching the stories and see what's really going on, what really happened. So, biblical texts all throughout the world talk about a people that's been put to sleep, as I spoke of before, and when you got a people that's put to sleep, we got to find out what people's been put to sleep and how were they put to sleep.
Okay. Just to be clear, so our liberation and the social change that will bring about our liberation, that does not require any supernatural intervention, because it just requires truth. Truth is enough.
Not at the moment. As I read and understand that destruction is coming first, and then the supernatural. But what I'm meaning by the truth is the supernatural at the moment, because it's going to make the world look at it. Where did these black folks get this information from? Who is telling them this outside of us? Who's giving them this narrative? Who's processing this information for them? Because we gave them something else to download. Who's giving them this information to download? How are they able to speak to the world? And now the world's looking at us like, hey, we got to stop them niggas over there in America from talking, because they're spreading. I don't know if you heard just about a week ago, they talking about banning Pan-Africans off of all these social media networks, because it's calling them misinformation. The new word for fascism, communism, taking away your freedom of speech is disinformation.
So on you said Pan Africa. Who's gonna ban it on what? You talking about like on Twitter, on what, social media?
They looking to ban it on all social media outlets, and also there was a Jewish woman sitting in the
people are gonna agree with the people are gonna vote with this, because you're just saying Pan Africa. There's a difference between saying some, Pan Africa. I'm just go ahead.
Pan African is anything that they don't agree with that we talk about. So that goes for you, the Nation of Islam. That goes for the Pan Africans. That goes for the Israelite brothers. That's go for us all. We're all in that same Super Bowl together.
I understand that. That's what I'm saying. To me, that would be a far. That'd be a great stretch to pull off. I'm not saying they couldn't do it.
They're doing it now, but I just got off 187 days restriction on Facebook.
I know, but you post some things that, I mean, I'm just saying, the things that you post things that would lend to be banned by the way things are set up. I'm not saying that stuff is wrong, but I'm just saying that you understand to use information that's very controversial, and a lot of people would say that it's different disinformation, not just because they think that they were just saying that they just really don't believe it. It's not just an issue about the man.
Between Nazism burning books. What's the difference between Nazism when they burning books? If this the only platform,
but I think he's saying that it may not be that you're being banned for using the word Pan-African or embracing those values. He's saying it could be also like, is there a body of people who have said specifically Pan-Africanism is going to be banned? Because the continent of Africa itself, the African Union comes out of, is a Pan-African organization, literally, and it comes out of the that prior Pan-African organization. But
and the reason, my brother, globally, they talk about
them banning that because there's Pan-American, there's Pan-Europe, there's so.
Yes, and let me explain to you the reason why. It's on my page again, Brother Charles. You can look it up, but it's going to be way down there. But listen, the reason why is because when America go in and set up a regime in someone else's nation, the way that we communicate now is on these social media platforms. They overthrowing everything America tried to set up. Like you mentioned earlier today, they had 300 something military bases. Actually, it was 746. But when you look at what's going on globally right now, they are casting all of these military bases of the United States out of the countries, a lot of them. And it's because of social media. We are spreading the words. We are exposing those corrupt politicians and corrupt presidents, dictators that they set up for colonialism. Like France is having trouble with like 5 nations in Africa right now. And she's totally being destroyed because of the social media platforms, because the youth over in that area in these nations are spreading the message. Rise up. That's the only way we was able to see what was going on, by spreading these messages. They gave us a platform that we could see and communicate the way we are doing right now. Would
you say that everything, would you agree, not because I agree that a lot of things that are labeled misinformation are not misinformation, but would you agree that some of the stuff that's labeled misinformation is misinformation?
Yes, I can agree.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Most definitely. I can agree. That's why, you don't see me. I have never in my life on my social media platform posted mega. Probably mentioned the word mega maybe once or twice, versus reproduction rights, something like that. Mm-hmm. But I don't fall for all the rhetoric out there. I fall for what's in line with biblical times and what we're supposed to be looking at. When the Bible told me 6-7 years ago, watch when Israel's being surrounded. And then I'm watching Israel being surrounded today, and I'll go in the scripts and say, what's the next move? Because that's all it is a script. We all in this movie together. Some of us going to be able to identify the movie, and some of us not going to be able to identify the movie. And
may I ask, why do you think the Bible is a reliable source for you? Why is it a reliable source?
Because the reason why I feel it's a reliable source is because somebody was following it. Because the script, as we can look at it today, 1611.
Hey, bro, you said, let me jump in right there. So what he's saying is that it's a script that will be followed by people in power. That it will play out that way. So it's not a function of a divine prediction as much as of a plan letting you know in advance of how things are going to play out. So it's not necessarily very religious.
I agree. No matter who wrote it, somebody's following it.
That's what he said.
But if you're following it, you can see the next move. It's like chess. It's like chess. So it don't matter who wrote it. The devil could have wrote it. God could have wrote it. Man, whoever could have wrote it. It's a script that's leading to destruction. Point blank. It says 2/3 of the world global population will be destroyed. Look at what Bill Gates and them saying, what they want to do. Look at reproductive rights situation, what they're trying to do. Look at the food situation, what it's doing. Look at the cancer situation, what it's doing. You got the FDA that you get $7 billion a year to, and we got all this poison in our food. They're not looking out for the citizens. They're not.
Let me know
So
when you
can
want me
we
to play
can we
play that Student X. Go ahead, Afro Agnostics.
oh, okay. Can we also look at the whole Quran? Can we look at the Bhagavad Gita? All
Yes,
religious texts?
you
Because
can look at
people,
all
millions
religion.
of, at least the five major religions, you know, you have millions of people who are following the precepts and principles of that religion.
Mhm.
He says yes. That's his answer. And
Oh,
he's
okay,
made
okay,
that answer
okay,
before. He's saying that the
okay,
bottom
okay.
line is these are all scripts. These are all scripts that were put out there by whatever that are being befollowed, and it's not it's the impact of them is where they're the people in power are using that and leading to or basically showing your game plan. So when he talks
Well,
about it, he comes from.
I'm for getting. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm
just
for
saying.
getting as far away from that as possible, because
Mhm.
that's a theocracy, right? I mean, ruled by God, priest. That's
If you have the
terrible. I
power,
want to, the Bible has nothing to say. The
Hey,
Bible
brother,
does.
you said. Oh, go sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm
No,
saying
finish. Finish what you were saying.
The Bible doesn't condemn slavery on all from beginning to end. There's no condemnation of slavery. There's nothing about
I
democracy.
would
So I
defer.
agree. We want to
I
get
would
far
disagree
away
with that.
from that script as possible.
Yeah,
so
I disagree with that. We've had those debates about that in the past. We'll
Yeah,
have
yeah,
those
yeah.
again.
It's okay. We're gonna come back to this, but let's go ahead and address the question we had from Liberty Twitcher earlier. So, Yusuf, the only thing I could find, you can share the screen here, brother. The only thing I could find was for right now this Yemen's Houthis rebels launched drone boat that hit ship in Red Sea as missile strikes another. That was back earlier in October, and then I saw this
right,
more
brother.
recent article that was October 29. Yemen's Houthis target one ship in Red Sea, strikes miss, according to sources, is of course coming from Reuters. But they were talking mainly about commercial ships and vessels, and then the other one was Yemen's Houthi rebels target ship and the Bab el Mandeb strip off the Red Sea, and then and this
Go to
too was more recent, October 28th.
you
Am I
see
on the right path?
what you got to do is go to TKN. You got to go to America's media. You got to go outside of their media to get the truth. Like Netanyahu saying that they are not under a major attack. They haven't lost a lot of lives. But other media out there is telling the truth, because America's not gonna ever seem weak. Don't want to appear to be weak in any of the media that they control. A sign of weakness would destroy us from within. That's what's going on. You're not going to get that truth from APR. APR is run by who?
Sure. So what's the website you were talking about?
TKN News.
TKN News. Okay.
I got the whole video on my page where the Houthi did the video.
Okay, so I see they have an Instagram page here. So I'll comb through this, but let's just transition this into the next subject. Which I always like to have organic type of dialogue, and it just kind of rolled out the way it did. So I'm not mad at all. But I want to talk about this election interference. I mean, we're only a few days away from elections, and then if you're no matter who your candidate is, surely we want to have a clean and fair election. But right now, from what reports are showing us, is there has absolutely been some election interference examples, some thwarted, but I want to talk about that. But we called the show, Order 66, has begun, this deep state election interference. But what is Order 66? And that's just going back to a Star Wars reference, dealing with the clone troopers, having neural chips that program their reprogram their behavior modifications, and they basically branded the Jedi as traitors to the Republic and ordered their immediate executions. So I feel like Trump likens himself to a light bearer, a Jedi and whatnot. He's here to save the masses from the wickedness of the Democrats and the different plots that are taking place here inside of the world. So that's why we kind of use that reference right there. But in terms of examples of election interference, the first one that I want to bring our attention to was how the U.S. Supreme Court recently reinstated Virginia's decision ahead of the election to purge its voter rolls of some 1,600 people who state officials concluded were not American citizens. Originally, there was a liberal judge that was going to allow for these non-citizen votes to count, but then the Supreme Court got involved and then changed that back. Have you all heard about that, or have anything to say about that particular situation?
I definitely heard about it. I didn't hear that there was those people. I thought there were people that they couldn't confirm it, but you're saying that the people that they literally were non-citizens.
Non-citizens, and originally the liberal judge was going to allow these votes to count, but the Supreme Court had to step in.
Suspected non-citizens.
We call it suspected or not, But like I said, the Supreme Court jumped in and said, "Hey, he's going to block that judge's order requiring and immediately require Virginia to, not allow for these non-citizens votes to count in this federal election that's taking place." So that was one of the first instances that I saw. Anyone have any other comments about that particular?
But they decided they're gonna go ahead and allow them to remove it though.
Yeah. So like I said, that's example one that's been thwarted. A change. But what was about to happen was various state officials, and there's other examples we're going to bring up too. But in this particular one, you have a Virginia judge that was going to allow for non-citizens votes to count in this election. It took the Supreme Court, to rapidly involve themselves and make sure that those votes were not going to be counted.
Suspected. So I need to keep pointing that out there because non-citizens can't vote.
Well, they're not supposed to vote. Exactly.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, but it was an issue of them being suspected. I'm sorry, brother. You said it sounds like you're trying to say something. I couldn't hear you.
I said, but the liberals want them to vote, right?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that they want people that are non-citizens.
Oh, yeah. I believe it all day long because then especially those that had come into the state, undocumented. We all know the Democrats are way more forgiving and okay with that than Republicans would be.
There's non-citizens that rock with Trump. I mean, you understand that a lot of these Southern American countries are very macho, so you might have a lot of people coming in here, supporting Trump. Notwithstanding, hey, I got a Mexican friend who stays promoting all of this Trump stuff. Trump says all these terrible things about Mexicans and this, that, and the other, and immigrants and all blah blah blah. But the bottom line, he's still rah 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 because again, the most important things that he identifies with Trump are kind of the same things that most things that you guys identify with Trump.
Absolutely, but there's a difference. We said undocumented immigrants coming into the country. That we all know that through Republican policies, they're trying to get, especially more recent undocumented immigrants to be shipped right back out and make it harder.
Why would you even be registered if you're a non-citizen? You probably either moved, you no longer have citizenship, or you died. You wouldn't even have, you're removing people from there that are suspected non-citizens. So I'm just saying that it's a presumption that they're just fabricating these people to have this stuff. That may be the case, but that is reading into something that is not intrinsically there.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the Democrats wanted to win this election. It's clear that having a base of individuals, who are definitely will be more prone to voting, for Democrats versus a Republican. I get it why they will allow that. Many of us are still scratching our head or trying to figure out why would they make the border so porous, which is allow all sort of not only drugs but human trafficking and whatnot, take place. Why would they allow that?
Brother Afro Agnostics, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
No, okay. I'm saying, okay. I think that if there's a constituency of voters that, that either party could get to vote in their favor, they're going to go for it. If there's a strategy they can use, if they're citizens or non-citizens, paper citizens, whatever that may be, I think the reality of it in the United States, you've always had a hierarchy of citizenry, if you will. I don't see this whole thing. You're not a citizen. You're not a citizen. I mean, Black people were so-called second-class citizens. We just recently have had the right to vote in the 60s. Women just had the right to vote in the 1920s. You have poll taxes, literary taxes, all these types of voter suppressions that have opened up universal suffrage to more than just white property owning men. But still, even today, you got citizens in Guam, you got citizens in U.S. Samoa, you got citizens in Puerto Rico that can't vote right now. So, I mean, this whole thing, you're a citizen, you can't vote. Man, to me, that's for the birds. I don't even get this argument around immigration, around the border. Who cares about this? Why should we, as Black people, be concerned who comes over and who not? How is it going to increase or take away from our power? Is it really them or Wall Street that's really disempowering us?
It's both. So when you ask, will it take away our power? Listen, Black Americans have AB, what you call abortion, aborted over 100 million children in the last 40 years. Our numbers, voting power, that's what we're talking about, looking at power, has been manipulated by AB and Margaret Sanger and the father of Bill Gates that sits on the board of that. We got to look at the attack that's coming from within the United States on the Black community. When we go look at the Hispanics, they are getting control of the jobs in our community, construction jobs and everything else. I got brothers right now that's on construction list, been there on there a year. Numbers not moving, but jobs getting done because they overlooking their brothers, these brothers on the list and picking up Hispanic.
Why is that a problem? I'm sorry.
Why is that a problem?
No. Why is that a problem of immigration and not capitalism? Who's hiring these people? Who's encouraging them to come over, giving them the job, taking the jobs away from you? They're not taking the jobs. It's the employer that is taking the job because capitalism works off of cheap labor. They're going after cheap labor.
We all is the issue. We all understand that. But if you open up the floodgates and allow these people to come in, work for less, what that's going to do to the Black Americans?
Man, I'm talking about what about the floodgates of billionaires who get taxes every year? I'm just saying you're majoring in the minor.
No, bro, we can't hear.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? After I announced, you were the one that's making the pause.
Yeah. Your point. So we hear.
Okay. I'm saying why major in the minor? Why are we going after these issues that really are like very xenophobic, racist, when we need to be looking at Walmart, which is the greater perpetrator of things that are causing harm and things that are hurting our community, our political and social and economic environment as Black people, our community. Is not immigrants coming in. Most of those jobs, Black people don't want them. Nobody's working those jobs. Those type of jobs are they're working under, a lot of the times, under the table. They're getting the least pay possible. I mean, that's not the bigger issue to me.
Well, I understand. I respect that. To me, when you look at how they structure and how they move, right, versus a people that has been totally destroyed. We was talking about this last night. I was giving my sons them the game, how they should operate. They would take those mediocre jobs and get underpaid because a lot of them can live in one home without all the fighting and the liquor and all that destroying it. They have a good time. They get drunk or high. We want to fight and kill one another. That's the true Indian.
I disagree with them. Go ahead.
Okay. So when you look at how they would go and take these jobs and all live in one home, they would purchase that home, leave that home behind to a couple of families that they go and do it again with another home. So they don't mind that. We program not to even like one another through frequencies of music and everything. That's on the liberal side. Pop, pop, pop. Y'all spoke about Young Thugger earlier today.
I disagree with that.
These are frequencies that's destroying the youth that don't have no guidance.
Hey, brother Yusef, I think, hey brother, I want to add, I agree. I have observed different races run more like a corporation than ours. You talking about a family all live in a house. I've observed that. I've observed that right next door. So I'm just saying that it's not a stretch. I mean, I can't tell you that that's the numbers over everything, but I'm just saying that when you talk about people that they run like a corporate. What thing did he describe? I've seen that personally a lot. I've seen that a lot. I haven't seen that with black people. Maybe Haitian, people coming from a different country and stuff like that. But as far as black people living here, they don't run like a corporation like I see a lot of those people do. So I'm just saying that I've seen it. I don't know. I can't tell you that that's the majority of what's going on in the world. I'm just saying that it's not crazy.
We got to.
No, we did the same thing when we came from the South. When we were refugees from the South, coming up here in World War I and World War II, we, as much as us who could fit in the house, stayed in that house and lived until we can get out on our own. And they pretty much just do the same thing. The one thing that accounts for their success, I believe, and we can argue over this, is one, they get support from the government on the federal, state, and the city level. Again, going back to white people, racism, and capitalism. Also, I believe in addition to that, they do have a certain cultural resource. I think the only resource that most of them have that we don't have is that is the language. So they can use language to control. A lot of the immigrants, some come from certain parts that don't have a certain quota on them. And as an example, Chinatown, like a good percentage of Chinatown are slaves. Literally, they don't get paid. They work for free.
Right.
And so they're trapped by the language because they don't know English. They cannot go outside of Chinatown until they're able to learn the language. And that's something that they get 3-5 years of free labor.
That's crazy. So you're talking about San Francisco Chinatown, the real Chinatown.
In the original Chinatown in San Francisco, a lot of people compare, look at Chinatown, look at the black community. Why don't we have a Chinatown? Well, Chinatown is a product of a lot of different things, but one thing, they had support millions and millions and millions of dollars from the federal government, the state government, and the municipal government in San Francisco, and rich capitalists in San Francisco. They put money into Chinatown. It wasn't started by the Chinese themselves. They couldn't afford to do that. They couldn't do that. And you had Chinese diplomacy, the emperor of China, and the trade with China that was taking place during that time. All these things are what went into creating Chinatown. It wasn't that they have some greater level of unity.
But that's making an argument that they're getting more resources than us.
That's all it is. That's all. But who's giving them the resources? It's not them. It's capitalism and racism that is your main enemy, not immigration. That's my point.
We having that same problem with the border right now. We trying to expose that. That same government that you just got done complaining about giving them resources is giving these immigrants resources to overcome our communities. We're looking at city councilmen in our neighborhoods now that are Hispanics that actually grabbing money for their community and their peoples. Mm-hmm. We got black folks that's on the city council don't even know how to move $400 million that's sitting on the table for our community. You understand what I'm saying? Don't even know how to move 400 million. So if it stays there, the other community is able to get it. These niggas that's in these seats, only thing they want to do is have a big house and say, look at me, and the hell with the rest of us. That's broken. Somebody did that. Through all of these ologies, psychology, sociologies, and everything else. We are up under their spell. The words that come out of your mouth, that come out of your mouth, brother.
I think there's different strategies in which you can address that and different tactics that you can use. I don't think that being big on the border, being anti-immigrant, having xenophobia is a strategy or a tactic to resolve that. I think it's just fight for our justice, fight for the just resources, call out the misdistribution of resources. I think the biggest recipient of a lot of federal resources are Israel, and they're not even within the jurisdiction. So I think that would be our biggest enemy before we even turn to immigrants that are coming in. Many of which were already here before we were here. A lot of Chicanos, Native Americans were already here.
Mexicano comes from the Aztecs and the Spaniards.
Chicanos.
Right. They come from the Aztecs and the Spaniards. You know the identity of the Aztecs? Do you know the identity of the original people that was here in America and North America all throughout? And China?
And that's who I'm referring to. I'm saying the Chicanos are a mixture of Native Americans, Spaniards, and some black. But what I'm saying is that they are descendant of See, I don't. So we can talk about.
Yeah, you know that conversation. You know where this was leading
to. So let's challenge this this theory.
Let's get back on the ZV4 part. Let's get back on topic here. We said the government is helping them, and the only thing we're trying to say here, look, man, the same government that's helping them is set and destroy our community. You allow your children to come through the board and everything at the same time. You're marching to force to destroy ours. You got food that you got in our community that's destroying our people, it's killing us. We at the highest levels of diabetes. We at the highest level at pancreatic cancer. We at the highest level at kidney failure, dialysis. This is orchestrated by the same government.
I'm saying this is national. I'm saying my opinion is though that all that you describe are symptoms of national oppression of Black people. But I don't. That should be our center focus, not immigrants. That's all I'm saying.
I think what he's saying is that with all this immigration talk, we're punching down instead of punching up. The bottom line is these people may be competing with us for resources after a fashion, but those are the people that are dishing out the resources. They're the ones that are really are shaping that whatever. So they're the real enemy. And my point is that there's a hyper focus on the immigrants. There should be a hyper focus on the machines doing us wrong.
That's what we're doing. But listen, we cannot do that when we all fighting and not seeing the same thing. How many of you on this panel play chess?
I have played it.
I play chess.
You might have played how to play chess.
I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
You might have played it. How many of you know how to play the game chess?
Oh, I read some chess theory. Yeah.
Theory is not like playing it. Played it 1 or 2 times is not playing the game. Many of you might not understand what's really going on because you don't understand the game chess. This global community is a chessboard, not a checkerboard. Before you go in to conquer any nation, what do you send in there first? You send your bishop in there. You go there and baptize and bring in peace. And then what you bring in your rook to back up your bishops. Just in case you have some defiance. Then once we get all your pieces inside of that nation, then here come the king. You crown the king. Boom. Then now you bow it down to Britain. You bow it down to colonizing. They doing that same trick to us right now using other people. You are on the platter, Black man and Black woman, for destruction. They're going to sit up there and tell you another 50 years, they were once here. You're going to be in a museum. You don't see your destruction. And these people with this reproduction act and all this, they is part of it. Our numbers should go up. Accountability. We got other things that we can sit up there and use instead of killing the baby. Accountability. Teach that.
But you know, this is the thing about you talk about killing the baby. This is a fascinating issue. You talk about the numbers, yeah, because you brought that. I think this is a legitimate argument you're making because I remember reading that Osama bin Laden was talking about they believe in having a lot of children because they're trying to build up their numbers and stuff like that. So I understand this logic, but also I do understand that you know what. Raising children in a terrible environment is not necessarily a way of raising good soldiers. I think that a lot of stuff that was going on in our neighborhoods that is jacked up, in the neighborhoods that are jacked up, is because you got bad parents or mal-equipped parents, negligent parents, whatever, you know what I'm saying, raising, children in not the best of way in a bad environment. I'm just saying that just having numbers for the sake of numbers is not good. That's why I'm just saying that it'd be better if we were to raise children with some degree of control, with some degree of economic stability, as opposed to just, oh, you got knocked up and you in the Nickerson Gardens and now this is now you about to, just go on the welfare this is your ticket out of your this Section 8 to get your own Section 8 situation and basically breed the same type of people that are just not necessarily the best soldiers. Now, I'm not saying that something won't come out of line. Malcolm X came out of, right? Like we all came out of something negative. The offspring may get there, but I'm just saying that to me, I don't like to attack abortion as the problem of our numbers as much as I would rather, instead of us having more numbers, we would increase the quality of us that are here. That's what I'm saying.
And then because this is one I wanted to say pond to eat for
quality that are here. Go ahead.
Okay, Yeah, I wanted to just say that, algebraic notation is important in chess. Theory informs practice and practice informs theory. But I don't, again, I agree with what you're saying, the basic arguments, but I just disagree who should be the target, or who, maybe who is the cause of this. I'm not looking at immigrants, and I'm not looking at abortion. I think that's the abortion is a distraction. I think the whole population thing and population control and is very, very exaggerated. That's not the issue. I think is who's controlling the resources and stuff like that. That's what we should be fighting for. Our numbers are not, our birth rate or our death rate isn't outstripping our birth rate or anything like that anymore relative to white people. We're not like becoming extinct. I think politically we becoming extinct, but as far as our numbers, we're not becoming extinct like that. So I don't think that should be an issue, but I understand where it comes from, because none of us, we love us as a people, and we of course do not want to become extinct. But I don't think,
if you are stating that
the abortion issue, I think a lot of religious folks are promoting that and and wrapping that up in Black struggle, when it's really not. It's really a religious issue.
It's a religious conundrum.
Yeah.
if you think that the resources coming from the top, right? You state that yourself. The resources coming from the top.
How they're being allocated.
Is how it's allocated from the top. And then if you got numbers, you can guide those resources to your community.
Because you got to, like, the Malthus is theory on population, so you got the population, but if the resources are not increasing, then what happens? It leads to starvation. Nature kind of naturally checks itself. Those babies won't grow. Those babies will be malnourished. Those babies infant mortality will go up. Maternal mortality will grow up. People who have less resources, you have a larger population, but the resources are not rising in sync. Is going to lead to death anyway.
So,
but if I could add in on this, I've been sitting back listening because I appreciate the dialogue that's taking place. But this the one thing that I'm not hearing, I'm directed at Afro-Gnostics, is that we keep talking about these resources coming from the top, but we're not talking about the resources that we have control over personally, which is our own selves, our own actions, the strategies that we deploy, not only individually, but if we want to encompass ourselves to a larger community, a larger construct, then there is a lack of unity that exists in that element, that's
our
taking
own
place.
Wealth,
Okay.
Our own wealth too.
You're right. So that's first and foremost. Go ahead, brother.
This is why I disagree. And I don't want to cut you off, but let's put it in this framework. Is it a lack of unity or a lack of resources? I believe the latter, but you believe the former. Is that correct?
Well, absolutely, because the resources, we could generate our own resources through our productivity and through the strategies we adopt as individuals, that we can now bring resources to the table. You know what I mean?
Name me one community that has increased its power without increasing its resources.
You said name one community that increases the power without increasing their resources.
Power has grown. Has outstripped its resources. As an example, so we were talking about Chinatown. That community is strong. You have Chinatowns all over the United States, but they started with support from the federal government, from the state government, the municipal government, and resources from entrepreneurs or businessmen, business sector.
Right. Okay, but what I'm saying is that it's not like
without these things. How can we're magical?
But we're not deprived of that. We're not getting zero resources. We're not getting zero assistance. We are getting assistance.
Have you seen the Black household income?
Are you?
Have you seen the Black household?
Wait. Afro-Agnostics, brother.
Yeah. I get it. I've seen it. I don't understand what you mean. Have I seen it?
Wait. I can see on a big scale where you can say that we don't have the resources that we should have. That's fine and fair. But are you trying to say that we don't actually have resources? Because I think what Student X is saying, that he has resources himself that he has access and control over, as do I. I'm a homeowner. I don't know if Student X is a homeowner, but the bottom line is that there are people, Black people with resources that can do more with their resources than they are doing. I think that you are saying, Student X, saying that we need to do more with the resources that we have.
You start there, but then what I'm saying is we also have households that depend on government assistance who do get some resources, right? There are resources that are there. We also have entrepreneurial efforts and whatnot, that exist. We have, different charities that exist and whatnot.
But I got my house to a first time. I got my house to a first time buyer program. So yes, I was actually a benefit of a government.
But that wasn't available to just you. There are other people that could take advantage of that as well. And that's why I'm saying that if we accept personal accountability, then now, first and foremost, in your example, you have a wife. You built a family. You see what I'm saying? So there are things that we could do strategically that we're not dependent on others, that puts us in alignment, to receive various blessings and to be able to build stronger, than what we would if we adopted, poor strategies.
Now, I'm saying the implications of what you're saying that education is not a lack of resources, it is a lack of unity, which you're kind of pointing to or suggesting that Black people have some type of deficiency. That's a deficiency model. It all goes back to some type of genetic deficiency, some type of cultural deficiency, the bell curve, some type of neural deficiency. All that is bullshit. It all has to do with distribution of resources, period. We have, because you're suggesting that other groups have more unity than us. There's no evidence to support that claim. I will argue that Black people. I will argue there's no evidence. I will argue none, zero. There's zero evidence.
I'll give you evidence right now. I'll give you evidence right now. If you look at other communities, such as the Hispanic community,
give me
the
one piece of evidence.
They first of all, spend money and keep their money, not all their money, but a portion of their monies within that community itself, where it's turning over multiple times. They support, each other's businesses, and brands and whatnot that are taking place. That's not something that you see very frequently among our community in and of itself.
That's not true. And what metric are you using to measure that? Like, what is the metric that you're looking at, the turnover rate? Is that even a real financial economic notion? I mean, let's get the metrics and just actually compare. You're just throwing stuff out there and you don't know necessarily how, if there is a disparity or how deep the disparity, because you don't have any way of measuring that to know that. I would argue that Black people, to measure that, but then I give you an example. I think that Black people are the most unified people in the United States. Even if you look at, say, the largest, this is a symbolic example, but it means and it says a whole lot. If you look at the largest gatherings on the National Mall, the 3 largest gatherings are all Black people. The March on Washington in '63, the Million Man March. And if you ever, the level of unity that you have to bring that many people out, the level of it takes a lot of organization, which is really the working definition of unity. So I disagree with you on many levels. It's not voting.
Even the voting thing. That's another thing you can make an
those
argument.
Groups are divided. We're in unity.
So
we're the most unified people. We are not in our condition because of a lack of unity. It's a lack of resources. That's my point.
So using your example, if those same individuals that gather, where you point to the Million Man March or that March on Washington, if there was a model to where resources, actual monies were pulled and investments were made, then now, there would be a greater byproduct, that developed from those issues.
Not necessarily.
So just come together for the sake of coming together, that's not unity.
Let me say this, Afro agnostics. Okay. I think one argument that he makes, I see merit on both of your arguments. I see merit from what Student X is saying that, look, it's you can say what you want about this Afro agnostic, but I think that you have to accept that, look, the way that we use our money now, it reproduces the product, the production that we get.
The lack of productivity.
Whatever it is. I'm just saying that everything that we do right now is I'm just saying that it can only generate what it can generate. That's what I'm saying. Do you understand that? That's math. That's simple math. So the point is that The fact that you can take path A and it may yield this type of product, or you can tap B and it'll yield that much. I'm just saying that we can actually yield more product by making better decisions. I think that that's what Student X is talking
That's
about.
exactly what I'm saying.
Wait. But this is what I'm saying. I think where you are right is when we talk about, look, we're dealing with a disadvantage of generational wealth, and that's a function of resources. That's a function of generational resources. So there is a big disparity. That's a big part of our situation. When you talk about where we live, where you're talking about the Nickerson Gardens, or you're talking about whatever projects and stuff like that. I mean, these are the resources that are given to us that are not necessarily resources that are very productive. Because I would say that. Go ahead.
And these other groups are not. They came into the society voluntarily for the most part. They're immigrants. Black people and Native Americans are the only people here that are not immigrants, and we're doing the worst. We're a targeted group. We're the target of hyper oppression. They don't have to deal with the type of things that we do. So when you really compare us, we are more unified than them. It just looks maybe like they are more unified. They're not dealing with the same levels of oppression, which means or translates that they have more resources than we do.
But that having been said, Student X, I still agree that, look, the bottom line is we can do better. If we can do better, it is our burden to do better.
Yeah, I'm saying that, look, a person could adopt whatever strategy they want to and subscribe to whatever, type of theory that they want. But the bottom line is, I'm telling you right now, is one who, has, and my wife is Mexican, and I'm very, I'm intertwined into the Mexican culture. So when I see a lot of our Mexican brothers and sisters, they come up over here, they tap into immediately a community that exists, whether it be their own family or even just a greater community where a common language is spoken, where they buy products and services from one another, to where oftentimes they don't even need to even learn English because all their initial needs and most important needs are met just through the community. They can pull their resources, get better vehicles than we do. They also
because language is a resource, though. Language is a resource.
He did say that. Okay, he did argue that, and we both agree that we all, I think, agree that one of the things, culture is a resource. So we're saying that communal dynamic, as opposed to what we're coming out of. We're not going to say that we were people of great culture before what happened here, really kind of impacted us culturally. So I'm just saying
with all that resource and culture they have, we're still doing better than them in terms of income. We're doing better. I mean, almost every metric you look at, we as a group are doing better than them.
Not health, not health, or wealth. And those are the most important resources.
Wealth, I think he's making an argument that there is wealth.
We are doing better.
If you're looking at, again, our participation
right now. How would you measure? We measure household income. That's the measure. We can look at it now. I can pull it up. Go ahead.
$1.4 trillion in spending power.
That's what I'm saying. We're not broke. We're not broke.
But the problem is we are consumers. That's the problem. We condition to consume, want.
I think that's a legit. I think that. See, there's the thing about it. I feel like you're very defensive. That's a great point. I just feel like that's. But go ahead. What were you about to say? You got some statistics?
Yeah. So Hispanics, as a large group, and it's hard to figure out what Mexicans are 65,000 is their household income. Ours is 56,000. So they are doing better in terms of household income.
But here's the most cold-blooded part about that.
As a group, I don't know any particular, because keep in mind too, you have white Hispanics as well.
No doubt, but also keep in mind too that you also have undocumented Hispanics. That number is not even being calculated.
And they would be the blacks of Hispanics.
You're right. Well,
the blacks of Hispanics, yeah.
Well, the real Latinos are us. If you understand, I'm going to talk about that later on if time permits and whatnot.
Let's talk about that, bro.
We'll definitely.
Hey, let me say this. Afro agnostics. There's not going to be a spin that back next week. So there's going to be another one of these shows next week. So we do have.
Well, potentially, there's potential. Let's make sure we're all available and whatnot. But yeah, no, that's a topic. Ever since I saw that was a subject you all want to talk about. That man, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready. There's no doubt about it. Because I like to organize facts and information. And then I had a couple of my brothers that have a larger platform than we do. That just dealt with the subject as well. Did a marvelous job. Shout out to Crumb TV and the real MOI Minister Information. They did a marvelous job. So yeah, we'll get into that.
I want to put a highlight on something that Brother Youssef said, because I understand that I see why you're defending where you're defending and taking the angle that you're angle, but I really think that this is a really powerful statement to say that we're more occupied with being buyers than sellers, and that is impacting our strength. You know what I'm saying? Is that what you were saying, Brother Youssef?
Yeah, what I was saying is that we have a lot of spending power as far as a community, but unity is not there. Unity is not there.
Put it this way, Alpha Agnostic, it's definitely not where it could be, and maybe not where it should be. I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is like, it's kind of like, you're just kind of throwing out a statement out there when you say this type of thing. You just went mute. Did you do that on purpose, or did you? Let me see if I can unmute you. Yeah, it's you. You got to unmute yourself. Something happened.
Yeah. Well, while you're trying to figure out that, like I said, the main thing is that what the unity we so-called have. What are we doing with it? Okay, a lot of us vote Democrat. Where has that led to the advancements, of the masses of our people? Okay, we all go to church. Again, where has that led to the advancement of our position, and situation here in this country? So it's something great than that, and a big part of it, to me, what I believe is going to be dealing to the economics of the situation. We have plenty of money, but how is that money being allocated? What are the strategies we adopting? There are things that we lead, the nation on that are anti-productivity, such as the lack of, families. When I say families, I'm talking about the construct of a husband and a wife, and building that a society up. Look at the divorce rates and look at the single mother and single parent status that we have in America. How is that contributing to, the lack thereof or resources that we have? Again, how we eat. How is that contributing to the lack of resources? How come brothers still muted? I'm just trying to buy time.
No, hey, the whole time I'm thinking like, you guys, now you got a free pass to say whatever you say.
Yeah. I'm waiting for somebody in.
He's trying to hold it out. You may need to shut it down and come back in or something like that. I would definitely unplug. We are like in the music industry, we always talk about signal flow. Sometimes you got to unplug everything and plug stuff back in. But brother,
right.
This might be a time for you to say anything that you feel you really want to say.
Look, and I'll show where we have. Look, we don't even have unity to where on this show we were supposed to be talking about politics. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And then this election coming up, and we didn't veer on every topic but that topic. You know what I'm saying?
Was a good conversation, though, man. You guys put out some serious gems, like everybody. You know what I'm saying? So this is a good conversation.
I'm rolling with it because it's a great dialogue. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just saying that everyone knows where I stand. I'm about personal accountability, and we have personal accountability. Then that right there is a start. But we also have to have a value system, a law that we actually adopt, as a people. You know what I mean? And then I believe that in and of itself could lead to better outcomes than what we're currently having now. So it looks like Afro's backstage. Are we able to
my bad. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you could see that.
Yeah.
Your mic is working just fine.
All right, bro. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, I think when you think that way, and I thought that way at one time. Sometimes Black leaders will use that idea to kind of motivate. It's kind of like your football team, man. They doing better than you. You need to do something about it. But I'm saying in reality, when you really look at the claim itself, there is no evidence to support the claim that this group is more unified than this group. All we do is look at things that are self-evidence, but self-evidence is really things that you assume to be true, like People thought at one time that the earth was flat or that this was that. People thought women were inferior. That's the obvious truth. Things that self-evidence appears to be obvious. But when you really do the investigation, you will see that you're really parroting white supremacy. It's the whole notion that black people are less than. Some deficiency, something is wrong with us. It's nothing wrong with the system. It's nothing. It's not capitalism. It's not racism. Something is wrong with us. It's something
we're not disputing those things exist.
But I'm saying we have about equal, if not more, I would argue, in my opinion, more unity than anybody else. We just need to stop looking there. It's not a lack of unity. We're very unified. The largest social movements in U.S. history have all been, black people have been at the core of those movements. I'll give you just one case in point. In the MIA, the Montgomery Improvement Association in Montgomery in 1955, when they led the bus boycott, they had almost 100% participation from the 51,000 black people who were residents of Montgomery. They didn't ride the bus for over a year, 300 and something days. No other group, there's no other example of that type of unity. And it's all
we're not that same community today, brother.
And solidarity. And so the theory, how do you get more resources? Is through social movements. Our history and the history of the world shows clearly it's not through we're going to build up our wealth and we're going to do this and all that. Look, when you go to poor countries, guess what? They have more entrepreneurs than rich countries. Just because you're an entrepreneur don't mean you have wealth. It does not. They're on the street selling you anything. That's not the answer. That's not the path. We got to get to. We got the unity. We got to start a movement, a social movement for change. That's how you get the resources and you turn the power dynamic around.
My point is that change starts with self. If you can't change self and then again adopt better strategies in your own personal life, how are you going to advance, to these levels of not being in want and need anymore?
You can't change the world without changing yourself.
We had yesterday is not the unity we have today.
When you change the world, you change yourself.
One has to come first. It
happens simultaneously.
I don't know. I disagree with that. I mean, if I'm the type of person that's an F up and I don't care about nothing, I suddenly decide that now I care about stuff. That's a change, and that change needs to happen before I can do anything. Now, I do agree that what you're saying is that look, if the resources were to magically come into place, that people would be in a and they be in a fundamentally changed situation. Now people are not necessarily feeling they have to do this illegal, that, or another. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. I really think that when you're talking about unity, you're really talking about gradation of unity. I mean, I think you're talking about magnitude of unity. I'm talking about not so much you as much as brother Student X, because I would agree with him with respect to the type of unity we need versus when you talk about the actual unity we actually have, which comparatively is actually more. And I will agree. Both of those things can be true.
I mean, unity is basically a working definition is people working together to get things done. That's pretty much, a simple definition of it. That. And in order to work together, there's a certain level of cohesion, coordination. There's a certain level of trust.
Agreement,
compromise, yes, and all that stuff. And I don't think there's no metric showing that this group has this more, this group has this more.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, you're comparing it. So that's what I'm saying. I agree with that, and that's a way of bigging us up and clarifying that that's not the context. I don't think Student X is saying. Student X is saying it. We may not be doing it. Like, let's say, I'm not going to put words in Student X's mouth, but let's just say that let's just accept on okay. That's not the case with us more than other people, but the bottom line is we can be doing it at a greater point and be more productive for us.
I think in terms of building a movement, yes, that's what we need to do.
I would say that, and the other thing that to me is central in everything that I say is that it starts first with the individual, because we will never have that type of unity, as collectively, if we don't have a set of principles and laws that we agree upon that will allow for unity to take place. Because right now there are values that some people within our community have that I can never unify with them on. What I mean?
But he's also saying that if you have the proper resources, you be basically a product of you know how you're somewhat of a product of your environment. If your environment is resource rich, you will be transformed by the nature of that. So I'm just saying that it's really six
It's
on
a
one hand.
materialist. It's a materialist
Yeah,
view.
yeah, because there's a reason why they do better on SAT scores and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff, and some of it's cultural, but some of it's also, this house has internet and a computer and other stuff. This house doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So there are things resource wise that will have impact.
Medical studies have shown like Black people have the highest level of stress hormones. So I mean, like just living in an environment that's stress free, not living in these food deserts, seeing green, having this changes your whole mood and
no doubt. People
attitude.
shooting around you. You know what I mean?
The ghetto bird.
Bad diets that lead to bad health outcomes.
Yeah, it's a form of anti-violence. It's how you reduce the violence.
Yeah.
So is this? I know that you said you want to talk about the vote. And you want to get there.
Have we? Like I said, we got a topic, but I don't mind because there's some great dialogue that's taking place.
Okay, first let's get into that. That's more salacious. Let's do that. Let's. Well, actually, we did talk about election interference. You talked about how it was.
I brought one issue so far of the many, you know what I mean? But
we know that they've been burning ballot boxes and stuff like that. So that's a form of interference and stuff like that. So
no doubt about it.
And then
how about the passwords leaked in the Colorado election systems on the voting machines?
What did you say?
The passwords leaked for the Colorado election systems.
I mean, that's some stuff I would have to jump into before, because I know they were talking all this stuff about Dominion. A lot of people got sued about, the Dominion being vulnerable, and they weren't.
I don't bring up stuff unless it's in the headlines.
I know, but I'm saying, I get it, but I'm just saying that, there's also the concept of one way that they reduce your vote is by, drawing lines. As far as the state lines, the
gerrymandering and stuff.
Yeah, gerrymandering, and that, there's not only that, but then, there's the concept of okay, you make it real difficult for people to vote. You're so worried about people doing fraudulent stuff that you're discouraging people from legally doing it. And it's like you can actually be doing more harm than good by doing this type of stuff. And some of that is strategically done. I definitely think the Republicans wanted you to throw away mail-in ballots the last election because it served their purpose. They wanted to silence voices because it served their purpose. It wasn't about fraud. It was basically about, technicality. You're saying, oh, this was never done. This can only be done, stuff like that. But you're silencing people. Go ahead with you, brother Yusef. You've been silenced.
It was fraud, man. I mean, listen.
All right, I'll just kidding. Go ahead.
You spoke earlier about the parties and what kind of power they have over the peoples and things of that nature. These same parties have that same kind of powers and jurisdiction. Like, you from Los Angeles, correct?
I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, you're from Memphis, but you stay in Los Angeles, right?
I stay in Los Angeles.
So you know all about Crips and Bloods, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
I live in a Blood territory right now.
Right. So just imagine a Blood wanting power over all the districts, and the Crips want to fight that power. So the Crips got low power in different cities. They use their prosecutors and everybody else to go after meet the Blood. Is that fair game?
No, that's not fair game.
That's not fair game, right?
I mean, it's something you can do. It's strategy. It's strategy to work, but I definitely going after people not on the basis of something they actually did, but just because of political thing. They
can make things up on me. They see me in the club having a drink, talking to a young lady. They can pay that young lady, say I tried to sexual assault her. She'll go for it because the bag is big, right? And now next thing you know, I'm dragging the court. I got to prove my innocence, right? And then what I can do is what the Crips can do is use that incident to make it bigger than what it really is, to say this motherfucker got essay this girl because she said he did. But they know in Supreme Court, it's gonna get thrown out. But it's too late. We made it big. So now I got 34 felonies on me based on all of the Crips dragging me into their courts.
See, that's what I'm saying. To me, this is a bad analogy because he
It's
actually
a
did
great
these.
analogy. He ain't listen.
He did these things. He's literally did these things.
No. You gotta have proof. You gotta have a burden of proof. Supreme Court just overthrown the situation with the fraud case with the property. They gonna tell that man's bringing over $50 million worth of membership to Mar-a-Lago, and they gonna tell me that my shit is only worth 18 million and drag me in court.
If you saying that it's this size and it's not that size, that's illegal. And the value, if you can have listen, I'm a person who used to collect comic books for money and stuff like that, for value and stuff like that. Sadly, I lost my collection, but suffice it to say, I'm just saying that comic can have all the value to me, but there still was a book that out there that established its actual value. You know what I'm saying? You can say what it's sort of like with cars, the blue book. Your value is what someone will pay for it. But the bottom line is you can still inflate it, and you can inflate it to an extent that is actually, fraudulent. You know what I'm saying? So, but when you talk about size,
tell me, no, don't run from that. How?
Because where would the injured party be?
Because if the actual
exactly.
If you look in the Kelly Blue Book and you see that your car with your time, with your miles and such, and
you will tell me I go to court because that man paid me an extra $300 for a car. That's not
what it is. That's not what it is. If you use this to get resources, because for example, you're saying that look, the reason why I'm going to get the rate that you're going to give me is because I have this much assets. Okay, so listen, hear me out. You say that I have this much assets, so this is the rate that, the people that have this much assets, you give me this rate. But it turns out that you only have this much assets. So you didn't deserve that rate. You lied on the assets that you had to get the rate that you got. That is fundamentally fraudulent.
Did you see the previous court case? Did you see the previous court case?
That's not what happened, brother.
It's exactly what happened.
That's not what happened.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna give you a personal example before you go to your situation. We had a client, that was reporting. Let's say that your money that you report has the money. I guess the money that you your income or something like that you report or something like that. Something the number that you report has an impact on how much you have to pay for like a employee insurance or something like that.
This is on business. This is
but I'm just saying. But the bottom line is that there was a function of that. If you report that you have this many employees, you have to pay this much insurance and employee whatever.
This is about the value of Mar-a-Lago.
This person.
This is about the value of Mar-a-Lago.
It was not about the value of Mar-a-Lago. This was in New York. This was about some properties that he had physically there.
It was a Mar-a-Lago. It's a property he had.
Yeah, first of all, he lied.
He said that it was worth a certain amount, and he part of his valuation was his name was on it. So he said it was worth this amount. The bank came in,
and
looked at it, agreed with him, gave him a loan. He paid it back.
He signed.
Everything's all done.
But the size of it, he argued about the size of it. This impact. See, the bottom line is he wouldn't have done it if he didn't have to do it. He did it to get the rate he did. The reason why I'm bringing this point is that look. The person I was talking about got an unfair advantage. It was illegal because the bottom line is he didn't have to pay what other businesses were paying that reported their thing properly. So because he reported it small, he had to pay less, whatever. It was called an unfair advantage, unfair business practice and stuff like that. So he paid all the money back. But the bottom line is, no, but I'm saying this person did it. But the bottom line is, it's still he had to deal with this repercussion and the repercussion because he did it. And that was the thing about it.
Because his political opponent weaponized the judicial system against him and unfairly targeted him in that situation.
It was because he lied on the value of his thing to get a rate that he
would not. It was not a lie.
It was a lie. It was a lie. It was not. You can't just make up the value. You just can't say the value is whatever I projected to be.
You can. If you're doing a valuation and you feel that you have some property is worth X amount, then you present it to the person who's making the loan. They look at it. They don't dispute you. They give you the loan, and then you pay it back. There was no injured party. There was no problem.
There wasn't injured
party.
That's
why we're saying that that was a lawfare.
there was an injured party, though.
There was no injured party, brother. Who was the injured party?
The injured party was the fact that he was getting this rate. He robbed.
No, who got injured? Who was injured, brother, in this situation?
In this situation, the bank was
robbed the federal coffers that the people
knew. Nobody was robbed, my brother. Go look at the court case.
Let Afro.
Okay, I don't understand what we're arguing here because I don't know if he did or he didn't. But I'm just saying it's kind of safe to say that most billionaires and millionaires, they do what they can do to bend the law, to find loopholes, to not pay, to underpay people, to undervalue people. What capitalism compels them to do so. That's the capitalist motive, is to reduce your overhead, reduce your expenses, that which is your wage to your workers, your insurance to your workers. They go out of their way to do those things so that they can increase their profit margin. So I don't see why Donald Trump would be exempt from that motive. I mean, maybe he wasn't guilty in that case, maybe, but he has done it. He's guilty of, all of them are. That's what they do. That's a normal.
And again, there was one thing that
I don't see the big argument here.
When we talk about value is subjective, but he was actually talking about the size of the property. So that's, now you're talking about square footage and things like this. These things that are objectively magnify the value of something, and that was misstated.
But like I said, as a business person who has run a business, who's running a business now, who have owned my own businesses as well, when you're in business, you're going to make the best decisions you can, for, that institution. And like I said, and so if I as an individual go get a loan and I'm valuating, my assets at a certain amount, and then I go present it to the person making me the loan, and they come back and agree with me that they're okay with my evaluation, they give me the loan and I pay it back on time. Again, there's no injured party that was harmed in that transaction. And that's what happened with Trump.
But again, you defrauding. If he would have put an accurate situation, listen. If he would have put an accurate assessment of the assets that were involved, let's say he just did it legally, okay? He did exactly. And if he would have done that and got a lesser rate or a more expensive rate, the difference is what he stole. You can sit here and talk about he paid the loan.
The institution agreed with it at the time, hence the loan.
Based on the assets being true.
Bro, based on their evaluation, they had to look at it. They signed off on it.
Based on the assets being true, based on the size being said that it was not.
They sent in their own appraisers.
You understand? It's like for some reason you think to take that if you do something fraudulently, as long as you don't get caught, it's okay to do fraud.
No, bro. Again.
Because that's what you're arguing. You're literally arguing that he did something fraudulent, but they didn't complain about it, or they didn't see it, or they didn't whatever. Because it was a lie.
What about you got to say?
They just had an argument over this. I'm going by what the court had just rendered in that case. The judge
just rendered that. I'm just saying that's your take on it. That's not what it rendered.
I will send it to you. I will send you the whole court case where they was just in court battling that, and the judges, and the lawyers that brought that case against Donald Trump, they all begged not to be sanctioned.
First of all, this case is an appeal. So you're talking about the Court of Appeal?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go look it up.
He's gonna win the appeal, brother.
Wait, first of all, there's no way you're going to get sanctioned for bringing a case that you got a positive judgment on. You're not exposed to any form of sanctions on that.
We ain't got to argue about it. I'm gonna send it to you. You can look at it for yourself, and then you can have this discussion, right? But what I was going back to say is this: psychologically, I throw some shit. Y'all can throw the Crips. Y'all can throw a lot of shit at me. Y'all know it ain't gonna stick, but y'all don't give a damn because y'all know that your constituents is not going to research and view nothing. Only thing you gonna hold in your mind is what we pressed up against you. Use a felon. Use a felon. Use a felon, but without due process.
But we see all the facts. We see all the facts.
Are we saying Trump is a victim now?
That's what I'm saying.
He had a lot of unjust cases.
Why can't he pull himself by his own bootstraps and be accountable? Why are you putting other people down for his felonies?
Why
are you looking for something deficient in other people and not Trump?
killed Martin.
Interesting. That's pretty interesting.
The same way they killed Martin Luther King. They said the white boy killed it that was in the hotel. The government backed it up. The media backed it up. And we come to find out 25 years, 50 years later, that is not true.
Is that what we found out, or did we find?
Yeah.
Or did they just decide one thing?
No.
I don't think we found out anything, but I think it's,
the last ruling on that case
came out that it was a assassination of Malcolm X as well.
The last rulings on that case, or judicial or findings, legal findings, put the government as the cause, as the culprit.
They created brainwashing. They created it.
I don't understand what's going on. Are we saying that? So why are we defending Trump's business practices? I mean,
because we're in some of us are in business too, and we want the same thing happening to us.
So
you know what I mean?
that's
don't do the legal shit that he did.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the whole thing.
I'm just saying, like,
okay, what legal? What illegal shit he did?
If my property, listen, if my property, if the size of the square footage of my property, if the square footage of my property is 11,000 square feet, and I put down 13,000 square feet, and I know it's 11,000 square feet, that's fraud. I'm just telling you, it impacts the value of my thing. Even if my land is my land, the structure that's built up, the more square footage of the structure that's built up, the more value that is attributed to that land. So I'm just saying that it's a real thing. Go ahead. I didn't mean to jump.
No, I'm saying corruption is a real thing in the United States. And also the undervaluing of people, the exploitation of people, which is the basis of capitalism. And, I think your lack of criticism has a lot to do with your aspirations to acquire these things for yourself. I don't really see why this is an issue. Who cares if Trump did or didn't? Both parties, both constituencies use ammunition against each other. They both do fraud. They both do corruption. What's the big deal? They both steal elections. Both parties do.
I'll say like this. Trump says it all the time. If they could do it to him, they could absolutely do it to you. You know what I mean? And that's the reality of the situation.
We're the real victims. You acting like Trump.
There's no doubt about it that we've been exposed to lawfare, against us. No doubt about it.
I have no to anything about accountability for his legal woes. What about his own actions, his own behavior, his own, But when it comes to us, you're kind of emphasizing accountability.
That's not true. That's not true. Clearly, as a man, he has to be accountable. Even if he was a woman, he has to be accountable for whatever he's accountable for. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it. But just
let Trump be accountable for his legal woes, he
should be accountable for lying about the property.
What I'm trying to say is this: the courts already had an appeal. I'm trying to show you the manipulation, how they use it against us. What I look for is the reason. Why the reason the attack on Kamala Harris? Why the reason the attacks on Donald Trump? Who are they connected with? What is their agenda? So what I look at is who's going to be the best for my people. Who's going to represent my people in their freedom? I'm not an individualist. Never has been. I'm an Aquarius by nature. And Aquarius by nature is a revolutionary. So I don't have a dog in this fight, period. Only thing I want is buying time to continue to prepare my land. That's it. Because I know the destruction is coming to the Babylonian system. I'm not saying that. Chi is saying that. Putin is saying that. Iran is saying that. Yemen is saying that. Saudi Arabia is saying that. And I know the resources that's in the United States would not be sufficient for 335 million people. They destroyed the croplands, putting houses on them. The soil is rotten. They spraying chemicals on the soil to where nothing would grow. We got GMOs. We got to think bigger than this. It's about
Okay, but Trump is ultra nationalist. He's trying to tear the United States into.
Trump ain't trying to go to war. He is not trying to end it tomorrow. It's going to end like I said. Trump is not go to war. He's not trying to end it tomorrow.
Trying to end what war?
Enough time to see what's going on and prepare for what's coming. We ain't gonna stop it. Trump can't stop
it. So I'm just saying, you had said you don't have a dog in a race. You're just behind whichever candidate would create whatever political climate that would be more of an advantage to us, right? Is that what you're saying?
More time, he was saying.
Yes, give us more time to prepare.
I think Kamala would do that way more than Trump.
How's that? And if you sit up there financing the wars when you ain't got the fighting power, you got a 30 what's that? Hold on, wait, almost $1 trillion budget for the Pentagon, and they never passed the audit. Here you have Israel.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish real quick.
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Okay, so and here you have Israel that has a whole big old nation, but they use the shekel. The shekel is not only on a world currency, not even a world currency, but they use that shekel amongst themselves. How did they build that up? What they have?
I'm saying
people
Trump
set
is a bigger Trump. Are you saying that Trump is a bigger Zionist than Kamala?
Money, huh?
Are you saying that Trump is a bigger Zionist than Kamala?
No, I'm saying because
it's not.
No, I'm saying Kamala is a bigger Zionist than Trump. She even married one.
Oh, I disagree with Netanyahu. Loves Trump way more.
I think, and that's why I said that's disingenuous.
He just said Kamala married one. Hold up now, Kamala married one. What are you talking about?
She talks about a two-state.
Zionism is different. I don't know than being in Judaism. So they're two different things. Zionism is a political movement.
Her husband's a Zionist.
We recognize this too.
Maybe, but I don't think that's the barometer though that you.
I mean, it's got to be put in the equation, you know.
Well, mostly she talks about a two-state solution. She talks about
they talked about a two-state solution, and we still haven't saw one yet.
They're the ones that talked about making Jerusalem the capital. Trump is the bigger friend of Israel.
Look, Bob, they're both friends of Israel. Let me say it like that.
Bigger friend.
Bigger.
Yes.
Trump has not financed a genocide on another people. Trump said, if I get in office, I will stop the wars. He said, you know how
president done that.
You never give them aid to finance. So as long as you keep pressing against Russia, you know what Russia said, Putin said? NATO, you keep pressing, nigga, you're going to get nuked in America too.
Well, I'm saying every U.S. president has advanced genocide. What do you mean? There's not one that hasn't.
Listen. We had a different time and a different era with different weapons. Different time, different era, and different weapons. They're not putting man on the front line like they used to. They got technologies now. They got weapons that would knock out whole blocks, 25 blocks at a time. Russia has more than any other nation on the planet right now.
They have that since the
lines are drawn. You have resource lines are drawn. You have those are attacking your monetary system. You have those are attacking your forces with your alliances on outside of this nation, where you will be stripped naked. If you press it without having negotiations, America's going to lose that battle. That battle is coming.
Good. That's good. I want America to lose. I want the United States to lose. I mean, that's called empire integration. That's good.
But listen, majority of us that want that is not prepared. That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree. That's why Kamala. That's why I'm going for her, because she's the slow track to fascism.
Now she's right now by continue to fund the war. How do you stop war? Stop funding one side, the other side will stop fighting.
But every president funds war.
The point.
I mean, so the thing is that we saw Trump in office. He had these same challenges that exist, minus, I would say, there wasn't an October 7th attack on Israel yet, but already Israel or Russia and Ukraine already had a conflict, and the only reason why that conflict did not expand was Trump held resources and funds from Ukraine to allow it to expand. The first thing that Biden and Harris did when they came into office was then now free up those resources, which led to expansion in that war and hundreds of thousands of people being killed, as well as billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars of resources.
Are we aware of the deep?
And it all
Biden and Harris.
Are we aware of the deep, long-standing?
No nuclear power in my backyard. They agreed to that. They agreed to.
I don't understand. Like, are we aware of the long history of U.S. imperialism involvement?
Yes, well, of course we are.
From
but we're
day
talking about
one,
right now.
we just finished from day one, the Northwest Territory, all the way into now. They're always politically intervening, militarily intervening in other countries, carrying out genocide nonstop.
Even under Trump, he has
I don't see.
But again, we're talking about.
I don't see how Trump is the soft touch. Like he's going to
He was
minimize.
talking. He was investigating dropping a nuclear bomb on the cartels.
Do what? He gonna do what?
I'm saying he was. He literally was talking about. They were like, "Yeah, we can't do that."
He was talking about firing missiles into Mexico for sure.
He's
He
a
didn't
hawk.
say that.
Trump
Of course,
is a hawk.
that did not happen. That did not
Trump is
occur.
a hawk.
But I tell you what, he slowed down some stuff.
because there were adults in the room.
No, bro. Like I said, the thing is that what we know for a fact was under his tenure, there was not an uptick in wars, if you will. Now, granted, there was military actions that he did.
The Afghan war was on and kicking during his reign.
He led coups in Venezuela. He increased. See, one thing we're not aware of though is the history of U.S. economic sanctions. Sanctions are an act of war. United States has sanctions.
We are aware of that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean the general populace, I guess. But what I'm saying is sanctions are an act of war. They actually kill more people than many wars do.
In Iraq,
60% of those sanctions,
Iraqis were killed.
60% of those sanctions are on countries where people of color stay. They're in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. So, I mean, this whole note. What is Trump going to decrease that, and Kamala's going to increase it? Man, come on, man.
I believe they're both going to do.
They're both going to do pretty much the same. Trump is more of a provocateur,
preserve America,
a global provocateur than she is. Clearly,
Trump is a nationalist, and so the thing is that with Trump, he, as opposed to being a globalist, his main focus is preserving the United States and its power.
That's fascism, ultranationalism.
And so I don't disagree with that. But in that policy, what that means is that it is counterproductive to be sending these billions and billions of dollars outside this country to other countries, which on top of that has put us in a position to where World War III is something that was once, not even being discussed, at all for decades, to where now it's front and center as we speak right now.
Man, I'm saying that is a ultranationalist pipe dream, though. Man, he's just talking. How are you going to start like manufacturing? You're going to tariff everybody, so-called free trade capitalism, but you tariff all these countries so they can't bring products in. So what's going to happen? You're going to build the products here. They're going to cost more, which is going to depress the people here. They can't afford the product because it's more than when they ship it from the cheap company. Is the reason why the capitalist business went there anyway, for cheap labor. Man, it's all
that would create opportunities here for American citizens. I would say that.
Super high. Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
brother Youssef.
Brother Afro. What's his Afro? Who?
Afro.
I agree with you with that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is the problem. That's the problem that either party gonna have. But who's going to be best to fit the negotiation with the other nations to slow down the destruction of the United States? Like I was mentioned earlier, it's about resources. America, nations that she had control over to gather these resources to where these Black and Decker and all these can make all of these different products in a sweatshop nation to sell back to American citizens for a higher cost. The problem is those resources no longer will be available. Chocolates is no longer will be available. We at a different time. America has been exposed. So now what they are doing strategically is allying with the nations that America took advantage of, left them poor and hungry while taking all the resources. Now China and Russia going and say, listen, I'm going to build roads. I'm going to build big old monuments. I'm going to do all this for you. I'm going to bring in a better educational system. But what we're going to do is trade resources for that. We're not like America. We're not going to colonize you and have your children digging cobalt with their bare hands. Russia just gave Burkina Faso's like 300 what they call tractors for farming. Gave them bulldozers. That is the difference. We live here. We dependent on other nations. Those nations leave us. They go into other nations. It's going to clap this one. They're attacking it. This is what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. This is bigger than some fucking Kamala. It's buying time.
But I think we're arguing that he's going to mess up those relationships. He's aggravating those relationships.
Yeah. You guys are arguing that. That's
what he's arguing, though. I mean, it's a valid.
Listen. Let me tell you something, brother. Knight. You don't look at the world news enough. Even Putin said, "Listen, we are knock America off right now, but we want to see what this election is going to be like because they already know that Kamala Harris is in bed with the IMF and the Zionist movement. They already know this."
So Trump's involved with the same movement as well.
On the planet Earth, every nation on the planet Earth besides European nations like the Trump. Trump is the only president, white European, that said, "I will not aid Europe. I would not aid Europe. Hell with your accord, your what's called that the accord." The accord.
We understand.
A lot of different accords, but
we pulling out all
accords.
So long as we stay allies with them, those colonizers, America will be destroyed.
I think you're saying
I'm just in the way.
So you're arguing that one ultra nationalism will be beneficial for Black people in the United States.
Myself will be beneficial. I'm telling you, it's going to buy us time.
Yeah, because he's saying that, look, his argument, and it's a very valid argument, is to say that, look, this is going to bring us closest to World War III. World War III is going to destroy everything. So the bottom line is we need to move away from that and do our own shit in the meanwhile. It's going to give us more time to do us. So
I get you.
That's a legitimate argument. You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
I think Trump would move us more in that direction. But I kind of got your argument. You're saying Kamala would, but on the other hand,
but she is because she is basically
an extension of the Biden administration.
No. What I'm saying is that because she's saying that she will defend an ally, whereas we'll say that Trump will not do that because he will capitulate to Putin and whatever. So I'm just saying it's a different dynamics, but I still think that the end result will be what you want. You're right. It'll be less provocative to Russia.
I mean, but you're using semantics, but it's not capitulating to Putin. It's no longer
because I'm just saying because a lot of people are arguing that they're great, these great warmongers, and that they really love war. And I'm saying that I don't think that that's a logical way to frame it. I think that you're saying that what they're doing is contributing to a war situation because they're fighting. But I'm just saying that that the reason why that they say that they're in this is because they're providing support for an ally. Whereas I would say that in both these cases, the physical aggressor, I understand what you're going to say. You're going to say because they violated the NATO thing, but I'm just saying that the physical aggressor in both of these situations is Russia, and it's in the particular response that's going on right now is to what Hamas did on October 7th or whatever, stuff like that. I understand you can make the argument that, look, they're occupied land. These people are just fighting back, whatever. These are legitimate arguments. I'm not saying that they aren't. And it's the same goes for when you're talking about the whole NATO thing. It is a situation. If you're saying that they would have just honored their agreement to not have NATO on the doorstep, this wouldn't be the problem that it is. That's a legitimate argument. I
got you. We all agree that the United States is a colonizing nation, right? We all spoke about how they go in and disable nations and put in their dictators and things of that nature, right? We all agree with that, right?
Yes.
This is part of the Babylonian system, correct?
Yes.
It is set up to be destroyed. What I'm trying to tell you that is coming at its end. Putin them is to bring the end to colonization. I don't care how we look at it, how we don't want to see what's happening, what's going to happen is coming because we comfort. It says in scripture, come out of what you comfort in. We don't even realize we're still in slavery, man. When you're giving a man 40, 50% of your earnings, your sweat equity, man, that's slavery, bro. That's slavery. And you're looking at people, you guys talk.
That's disrespect our ancestors, but I hear you.
We talked about homeowners earlier today, right? Do you know they're saying 30 to 40% of America's elders are losing their home because of the property tax has gone up so much, and they on a fixed income now, they can't afford groceries because of inflations and everything.
So property tax don't go up like that. Property tax is a function of their original purchase price, whatever.
You had a computer right now.
This whole thing is happening on the computer right now.
Okay, right.
I understand that because you before was talking about how the capital gains stuff like that, and I'm saying that was wrong.
So property tax, how much it went up right now, and think about you having a fixed income. That's what I want you to do.
I know, but you understand that as a homeowner, I see how my property taxes, but I'm saying it's a function of a percentage of from when you purchased the house. These old people that have had these houses for a long time, there's not going to be this great jump type like stuff like that. It's probably not property taxes that is destroying them as much as whatever else. But I'm just saying that, that's not how property tax goes up. I'm just saying that, because it's a function of when you bought it, that house, whatever, and then,
And I can agree, but somebody is corrupt. This whole thing is corrupt.
Everybody's corrupt. You're right. Yeah, no disagreement there. No disagreement.
Well, I think Trump is a big fat liar when he says or he thinks that he's going to pull back or bring in the reins of U.S. imperialism, cut off allies, because without allies, they don't just rule through military force. They rule through how they distribute resources across the world. So I mean, this whole the empire would collapse, which is a good thing, because you remember during World War I, the Ottoman Empire, the Hungarian Empire, in World War II they traded. The reason we came into Israel in the First World Palestine mandate is because they got it from the Ottoman Empire, which got it from the British, or the British got it from the Ottoman Empire after World War II. So all I'm saying is that this Trump is going to do some repressive things, I think, that will bring us towards fascism. But he's not going to pull in the reins of U.S. imperialism. He's not going to, because if you do that, the whole global thing will be reconfigured, and the United States will cease to be the global empire that
that's not my argument.
They're not going.
They're worried about.
I'm saying they're not going to passively. They're not going to passively let that happen. I don't care who's in power.
Yeah, but he's not talking about that. Their biggest,
I think he has a deep state
argument. Their biggest argument is World War III. And that's something that'll impact us much more directly.
I would say again, the world wars of the last century, 20th century, they're all imperialist wars. There's no such as a world. It's an imperial war.
Regardless of
empire,
what we label them, the thing is that
things.
a World War III would be a hot war, and that's one where nuclear weapons would be exchanged, and then that's where the impact to humanity would be great. And so absolutely,
like
World War III is definitely something that I believe that Trump is better equipped just through his ideology is to prevent, versus what we have in the White House right now. But even beyond that, the safety and security internally inside this nation is something that I believe that Trump will have a better hold of than what Kamala would as well.
November 2nd, it's November 2nd, 2024 at 12:33 p.m. I'm telling you right now, whichever clown goes into the White House, there ain't gonna be no World War III in the next 4 years. So check back with me, and if there's a World War, and if there's a war, you can throw it in my face that I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? So we should be wrapping this up because
the war, but there's a war going on right now. They are trading blows, bro.
Oh yeah, but we're talking about the threat, the nuclear, whatever, and stuff like that. I'm just saying that
keep pressing. If America running out of money, running out of weapons, if Israel keep getting this devastated like they're doing right now by Iran, right? Somebody's gonna have to bag somebody up and gonna have to mean business.
Yeah, America ain't
I
running
don't see
out
how supporting ultra nationalists will somehow.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt us economically. Whatever, our resources will actually not be stretched as they'll be stretched.
And now he's gonna want to save his nations from anything. He's not gonna press the war. He know that he can't win. You ain't gonna run up on a motherfucker that you can't beat.
And then on top of that, knowing that these efforts and this money being spent is not benefiting America. As a nationalist or as people.
I don't know. If you think that it's making the people in NATO, the people that want to join NATO, feel good, the fact that you've helped this country stand out, survive as long as they did, because if you didn't, they would have been taken over by Russia. So I don't know.
These countries dependent upon the United States. No, the United States hegemony is dependent upon ripping the resources from these countries.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, and that's why they want to be whatever.
Close the borders, like literally that way in terms of trade. The United States is going to fall. Trump is going to catalyze that state, not Kamala.
So that having been said, let's wrap this show up, brother.
We're gonna find out soon.
So we're gonna find out. We'll see. In fact, we're gonna find out, in just a matter of days. So I'll be happy to have
it's not like the old days where elections was decided that day. I mean, we'll see how long this drags
I
out.
just said a matter of days. I didn't say how many days.
Yeah. I think it's a matter.
And there might be some disputing, and there might be another White House party. All a love fest, as you call it.
It wouldn't look like that. If it was, it would not look like that. This will be more of what happened when Martin Luther King was killed. Where cities were on fire, and there was the disputes throughout the nation. That would look like that.
So that having been said, brothers, thank you for having a great middle-aged Mutant Ninja Politics. We're gonna tweak the name one last time and have some stuff, but
allegedly one last time.
Allegedly one last time. Yeah, that's what's up. So like, subscribe, and we will be back next week. So this is going to happen at 10:30 a.m. PDT. So check in with us here on YouTube or on replay. So that's what's up. So that having been said, salute to you, brothers. Let me do the proper the outro. And it didn't work. Hold on a second. Let me try this again. All right, here we go.